get it all together and keep progressing and to make America great again, which gives you an idea of so why is Trump winning? It's funny for me to see these floaty heads still not really grasping this movement. To me, it's just so obvious. Voters are just really sick and tired of betrayal. Politicians now campaigning one way and governing another, and that's become the status quo. Well, enough voters finally said enough, that the status quo has got to go. Driving in, get to the airport, I'm driving my dad's truck. Something's wrong with mine. So my dad's got this bumper sticker, and it says, I'm not a Republican, I'm not a Democrat, I'm an American, and I want my country back. He's a retired teacher, and a great outdoorsman, a great family man, and that his truck speaks for the silenced majority. Driving that truck in too, I only got one thumbs down. Really was more, it was another finger. Didn't it was used as they passed me, but didn't bother me much because the truck that passed me, he was sporting a bumper sticker that said, toothless, bald, and beer belly, but I still love her. Get it? Looking at them, I thought, okay, well, there is diverse opinion all over this nation. But millions have awakened to the reality of our economy's trajectory and our standing on the world stage and our measures of security, and they have said, oh no, Washington is so broken and government's out of control. For such a time as this, we rise up to tear down what keeps us from our destiny as an exceptional nation, that beacon for other nations who are striving for peace and prosperity. We're going to fix this. It's our time. It is time. And then sensing the rapidity of today's unwanted transformation of America, the piled-on problems, and most significantly, really sensing the people's hope deferred. Well, we knew that the only counter to all of this was a revolution. But who would be the revolutionary? We sought, we paid attention, we did our own homework versus letting the media vet candidates for us. We asked, who is not part of the problem? Who's got the record of success and even enough earned income that is due respect and the attention that's needed to run for president? Who's got nothing to lose, but knows that our very sovereignty is to gain? Who's beholden to no one but we the people, not for sale? Not palling around with crony capitalists in bed with special interests, screwing the American worker. Not cuffed by the politically correct police. Who's got the guts to say not what we want to hear, but really what the nation needs to hear? So, yeah, who's not been part of the problem? 8 years ago, I warned that Barack Obama's promised fundamental transformation of America, it would make government bigger, and it would take more from you, and it would give more orders from Washington, and it would reduce our strength in a dangerous world. Obama kept that promise. Maybe the only promise, but he kept that promise. And every thinking American knows the ramifications. So thinking Americans, they sought and they watched Donald Trump rip the veil off a rigged system that has betrayed your average everyday garden variety ticked off American. And there are more of us than the disconnected left can even fathom. Trump's outsider status, where he saw how both sides work, he admits to knowing both sides, that let him become a new standard bearer for a grassroots populist movement that's fertilized by the still passionate Tea Party in all its glorious independence. Voters, disgusted with the audacity of duplicity, with corporate elites bankrolling campaigns, and with such disloyalty to the American worker, letting them arrange our political landscapes for their interests. And we found a messenger. And he wasn't found among the politicians who are insisting that they be elected and then re-elected, lest they have to come home and join us peasants under the laws that they had passed but exempted themselves from. Well, armed with a secure identity as Americans, individuals jumped aboard the Trump train and chugging along the primary trail, defying conventional wisdom of the loser consultants. With all due respect, they're termed that because they lose election after election after election, and yet they still keep getting rehired. But picking up speed with new voters of all persuasions, well, Trump shattered turnout records, and like a golden wrecking ball, he shattered walls in the good old boys club. And he knocked the crap out of the intolerant, hypocritical PC police that dare stymie freedom of speech with intimidation and with their false accusations of racism just to stop debate. Those accusers, they seem to be those silly protesters at the Trump rallies, too. I think he should hold his rallies at his construction sites. You know, protesters, they're not going to show up at a job site.
Republicans against Trump, or RAT for short. Not all of them will stay home instead of vote because their guy didn't win this time. They're not all thumb suckers, not all bad. I'm kidding, they are. And Hillary corporate lobbyists push reckless foreign policies. They profit from boondoggles like Republicans, Omnibus, and Democrats, Obamacare. Politicians pushing these, well, they give lip service, but that can't even be trusted to even uphold their oaths and defend our rights. Look at all these new recent Second Amendment attacks. Shoot, after Obamacare's lie that you like your doc, you can keep your doc. Now it's gonna be, you like your Glock, you can keep your Glock. It's a lie. Scorched by deception, hearing those lies and beaten down by politically driven division, well, people that tuned in to hear plans on rebuilding our United States. And they weren't disappointed because Trump is a builder. He looks up and he builds big. Ask yourself, what have the critics ever built? Although a billionaire, not that there's anything wrong with that, although a billionaire, though, he still connects. He respects our hard hats and our steel-toed boots. He knows that men in denim built this country, but DC suits and pantsuits destroy it. He briefly shakes skilled, calloused hands and tucks tight the blue collar, and he salutes in awe of sacrifice the American in uniform. It's connection through appreciation. And I do wish that all of you could know him on that personal level. He's not running because he's bedazzled by the trappings in office. No, he is in awe of the beauty of everyone willing to do their part to restore exceptionalism. He offers to serve, to help. Juxtapose the nominee's campaign slogans and he'll sum it up for you. Hers is, I'm with her. Trump's is, I'm with you. On the side of your average Joe six-pack, where I come from, he says, I worked hard, I succeed. I want you to succeed too. And knowing what it takes, then he says, I want you to work. Here's how we'll do it together to make America great again. And that is the fabric of America's character.
It's woven by work ethic and dreams and drive. That is America. So we cheer him on because he cheers us on. We defend him because he defends us. Take that ugly, ugly charge of racism. Trump's been covered in the media spotlight for how long? Decades. 30 years at least. He's got so many friends of every race, color, and creed. So many friends, all persuasions, background, again, color of skin. Black friends, colleagues, all great relationships, and doggone it, the press knows this. Trump was never called a racist until he decided to run against the Democrats, and that is the way that this dirty business works, friends. Believe me, I have been there. So with him, we who are determined to clean up the crap that's spewed by hypocrites playing those politics of personal destruction, well, together we'll call the liars out because we are going to make America great again. And this movement, it is refreshing America because we know that, hey, this candidate, he's got guts. And he doesn't give a flying flip about the corrupt good old boys inside baseball power places. Some, especially the talking heads, oh my gosh, they just live to talk about these political power plays. To him, it's just noise. And because he's empowered millions to know that it's just noise, well, armed with that, the willing then become more discerning, become still spined to better be able to fight for what is right. They become lions, not concerned with the opinions of sheep. For such a time as this movement, it is so imperative, it's so different, with the driver having ability to add value to opportunities in America. And that is revolutionary today. And it is so unlike typical politicians who just can't do that. They don't do that. Trump tapped into our recognition of the providence of our forefathers and what they have left us and the sacrifices made to secure what it is they created for us. He tapped into our recognition of the value that we put on our Constitution instead of opposing it, as Obama and his ilk too often do. He is with us, swearing to uphold it. So we tapped into his message that he'll put America's blueprint first to strengthen us, especially as we face existential threats that current leaders would ignore. The biggest, most sinister threat? The Islamic ideology constituting ISIS. The death cult, not even acknowledged, with accurate verbiage from leftists with their heads still stuck in the sand. Despite all the bloody evidence of radicals' ghastly dogma, Obama won't admit Islam put the I in ISIS. It is a clash of civilization that is our long twilight struggle. But if you transplant to your shores a foreign population that's hostile to the very things that your country stands for, you won't have a country. You won't win the struggle. You can't have peaceful democracy with people who hate democracy, or a culture respecting life with people who would love death more than life. And that's not hate speech, that's common sense. As is understanding. When someone screams allegiance to Sharia law and screeches Allah Akbar, death to America, what in hell do you think the guy means? Our leaders, when they deny this reality, this truth, what they're doing is they're wrapping our children in a suicide vest. Now, the Trump movement, it grew with people recognizing this and grew with Americans sick of those accusations of being anti-legal immigrant. No, we're a nation so generous in humanitarianism. We've taken in 6 times more migrants than all Latin American countries combined. We look up at Lady Liberty and we read that she's inviting the tired, the poor, the huddled masses. But don't stop there. Read the rest. Welcome, she says, those of you yearning to be free. Those who don't yearn for America's freedom, sustained by following our rule of law, but instead would yearn for Sharia law, child brides, female mutilation, killing all gays, and eradicating the infidel, that'd be us, and refusing assimilation, and demanding that American culture change into the culture that they claim they escaped from. No, our national instinct to do good is beautiful, but that kind of humanitarianism, it is self-destructive. Economically, so too are government's Robin Hood acts, taking from one, forcibly giving to another. History proves that this just tears everyone down instead of building anyone up by allowing prosperity and creation of wealth. So we desperately need leaders who understand the conditions that create wealth and will favor those conditions. That'd be energy independence and limited government to let the private sector innovation boom, thus creating more opportunities and more jobs. As Michael Novak says, then we will have abundance and more intelligent welfare. It's the only way to end a cycle of dependency, which is defeatism. And it'll change destructive entitlement mentality into one of enthusiasm to work and to produce, to better help our fellow man. That's how America wins. And right now, our nation's not always winning. Enemies laugh at us. Allies don't trust us. And it's like leaders don't even want us to win. It's like, USA, just settle for that participation ribbon. No, this awakening announces, put America first and we can win again. We want to win again. We must win again. And that's why Trump rallies are all about winning. And they're rowdy and fun and energizing rallies. seen any of the left's rallies? Cranky, demanding, shrill, vote for me and get all this free stuff. Those rallies? That's what happens when every kid gets a trophy. I want to thank you, though obviously a diverse mix of opinion here on the direction that our country should travel in order to, hopefully we're all on the same page here, hopefully realizing we don't need a fundamental transformation of America, but that we need a fundamental restoration of all that is good and safe and peaceful about America. So I thank you so much for not being cranky here today, because really it is an honor to share with a diverse group of brothers and sisters in the cause of America, and allowing me to describe the movement that found a candidate willing and able to fundamentally restore, letting us make America great again. He'd already built the train, and the vigilant hopped on and gave him permission to carry the standard into battle, sweeping up more of the disaffected majority that the political class had left behind. Silenced no more. So thank you again so much for being here and loving America. God bless you, and God bless the USA.
I need to go. Sorry.